So hopefully, over the next 5 to 7 minutes, everyone here will get a better idea of what social enterprise is. Now, before I start, does anyone know what social enterprise is? Before I begin. Raise of hands. So, there's a few of you, a smattering of you. How about if I ask the question, how many of you want a job, or expect from a job, something that benefits society? Something that contributes to the community you live in? A greater number of hands. Unsurprisingly, nowadays more and more people are expecting more and more a job that not just contributes to them financially, but also allows them to make some sort of social or environmental impact, a positive effect on the world. Now, we are seeing that manifest in many, many ways. But social enterprise is just one way in which that is happening. Now, what is social enterprise? Social enterprise is basically people who are coming up with their own business ideas that at the same time both contribute financially and are both self-sustainable in a financial manner, but at the same time also make some sort of social or environmental impact on the world. This is the key aspect, and this is what differentiates it from other business style of activity. So I think today, more and more, we're seeing how communities around the world are taking it into their own stride to solve their own problems. They're no longer just relying on the government or big institutions to solve those issues, but they are actually looking inwards and seeing how actually the solution was with them all along. Now, a few examples of this, just to show you the international dynamic of this. This is a company called Échale a tu casa. It's based in Mexico. Now, Mexico nowadays is quite a corrupt state, more and more. Recent figures actually show that the situation is getting worse rather than getting better. Now, this company itself is looking to answer that issue by providing sustainable housing for local communities and impoverished communities that may not have access to this on a regular basis. And then they're creating long-term sustainable benefits for those communities that they're offering by providing financial and educational support for the youth and members of that community so that they can provide for themselves going into the future. They use the money that they get from selling houses and from the whole process of building them and invest that into the education and learning of the communities in which they operate. Another example, and this is one I was lucky enough to work on a bit of research involving this company. This is Ghana Bamboo Initiative. This is a company obviously based in Ghana, and they do some really interesting work. They noticed that around them there was a lot of bamboo everywhere, just going unused. And they turned this into a bike frame. Simple, effective, and it turned out because in Ghana, they don't have a lot of tarmacked roads. There aren't a lot of there's not a lot of infrastructure in that way to benefit transportation in that manner. They found this was a really effective way of helping people get around, a cheap way as well. And the community really rose up and helped support them. So now they employ and manufacture people from their local communities to help build these bicycles, which they sell all around the world. There is actually a really quite comical video of Ban Ki-moon trying to ride one of these bikes in a two-piece suit in a hotel lobby in front of a whole sea of journalists. I really recommend you give that viewing. It is quite funny. But I think it really does show the impact that these kind of companies are having. Now, this is the international dynamic of it. But it's also happening at a local level, right next door to where we are at the moment. This is Clink's Care Farm, based in Norfolk, just around the corner. And what they do is they provide support and help for immigrants who've just moved to the country, people who suffer from mental health issues and alike, to get some work experience. And also it's a therapeutic way of kind of working through any problems or issues they may be facing. And they find that the produce and the products that they make that are produced on this farm are then sold on to other people, and they bring the funding, they bring the money and the profit that they get from those products and invest that back into the farm and the business. So this is not just happening in developing countries, it's happening in developed countries just around the corner. Recent facts from the European Union show that Norfolk is home to some of the most impoverished communities in Europe. And this idea is just one of many about how this is improving the lives of so many people in so many communities across the whole of the UK and across the whole of the world. Now, I don't know now, in terms of having listened to the impact these people are having, but from another show of hands, how many people would be interested in social entrepreneurship, setting up their own business, involving this sort of framework, helping their own communities provide a beneficial service? So, I think it just shows that it's such a wide-reaching phenomenon today. Now, one of the cruxes of my speech as well was it's not just us. Large corporations, big businesses are also affecting the environment and the social welfare of those in which we work in. And I have to say, if I had more time, I would talk about that a bit further and what we can learn from social enterprise and how we can apply that to big business and how we can bring that and apply that to alternative models. One key thing, though, is actually measuring social impact. How do we go about that? It's sometimes quite a wishy-washy term to try and define. And that's something that a lot of people have struggled with. So moving forward now, it's about realizing and defining how we can move towards that direction. How do we move away from a reactive society based on shame, where we shame companies because of the activities they're involved in, to get them to change, to a proactive society where companies, at the core of their strategy and business model, include social and environmental goals and targets as well as financial ones, and make it that a core aspect of their business operating model. And there's so much to learn from this as well. One final thought from all this is that really, really big, the biggest ideas, the largest ideas, can come from the smallest beginnings. Anyone in this room can start tomorrow if they wanted to. And that's the key, the accessibility of it. Anyone can start it if they want. And so my idea for a better world is how everyone goes away today and thinks about how they can make an impact. Thank you very much.